Admiral Zexthul stood on the bridge of his massive bioship, watching the stars bend around them as they traveled faster than light. His ship was alive, grown from special cells in the deep factories of his home world. The walls pulsed with a slow heartbeat. Veins of green light carried information through the living metal. Everything about the Velkaran hegemony was alive, and everything was hungry. The Admiral's 4 arms moved across the control surfaces that grew from the ship's flesh. Data flowed directly into his mind through the neural connection behind his neck. 47 worlds conquered. 47 civilizations that had fallen before the might of the hegemony. Each victory made their bioships stronger, smarter, more deadly. "Admiral!" came the voice of Subcommander Kelmix through the ship's organic communication system. "We approach the target system. The local species calls it Sol." Zexthul's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Every species thought their home star was special. The architects of Kepler 4842 had thought their crystal cities were unbreakable. The collective of the Magellanic Bridge believed their hive mind was perfect. All had learned the truth when the hegemony came, calling. The bioship shuddered as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Through the viewing membrane, a yellow star appeared. Around it spun several planets, just as the long-range scouts had reported. The third planet from the star showed signs of the local civilization. "Analysis," Zexthul commanded. The ship's living computers worked quickly. Information flowed across the organic displays. "Pre-faster-than-light civilization," reported Kelmix. "They use chemical rockets for space travel, basic energy weapons, no unified planetary government, multiple competing factions." Zexthul felt disappointment flow through his neural connection. This would not even be a proper test for his fleet. The humans, as they called themselves, were barely out of their home system. Their technology was primitive. Their society was fractured. "Military assessment," he ordered. "Primitive nuclear, weapons, some directed energy systems, large chemical explosive devices, kinetic projectile weapons, no biotechnology detected, no energy shields, no faster-than-light capability." The Admiral's disappointment grew. Every conquest taught the hegemony new things. The architects had shown them how to grow crystal-hardened armor. The collective had given them improved hive-mind coordination, but these humans seemed to have nothing new to offer. "Fleet disposition? 12 seed ships await your command, Admiral. Estimated conquest time for a pre-faster-than-light civilization is 4 to 6 standard time units." Zexthul considered. 12 seed ships was massive overkill for such a primitive species. Each seed ship could spawn thousands of hunter-killer craft. Together they could crack planets. Against these humans, it would be like using a star-killer missile to destroy a single insect. "Deploy 1 seed ship only," he decided. "The Devourer will handle this conquest. The rest of the fleet will remain in reserve." Admiral, regulations state that unknown civilizations should face full suppression protocols. Zexthul's bio-armor rippled with displeasure. "Sub-Commander, I have conquered more worlds than you have seen. These humans have barely left their birth planet. 1 seed ship is more than sufficient." The Devourer was a young bioship, only 50 cycles old, but already battle-tested. It had helped crush the machine worlds of Proxima. Its bio-neural networks held the genetic memory of 20 different conquest patterns. Against pre-faster-than-light primitives, it would be a slaughter. The Admiral watched as the Devourer separated from the main fleet. The bioship was beautiful in its terrible way. Its hull was smooth black chitin marked with veins of bioluminescent blue. Weapon pods dotted its surface like cancerous growths. Along its length, the spawning chambers bulged with thousands of hunter-killer organisms waiting to be born. "Devourer reports ready for assault," Kelmix announced. "Begin standard suppression, pattern alpha. Target their military installations first, then population centers. Preserve some breeding stock for genetic analysis." This was how it always went. The hegemony had refined the process over thousands of conquests. First, they would destroy the enemy's ability to fight back. Then they would eliminate resistance leaders. Finally, they would harvest whatever was useful and integrate it into their own biotechnology. The Devourer moved toward the human homeworld, its bioengines leaving a trail of organic particles in space. Soon it would begin spawning hunter-killers. The primitive humans would see death raining from their sky, and they would know that their time as the dominant species on their world was over. Zexthul turned his attention to other matters. The main fleet still had 6 more systems to conquer in this sector. The humans would be finished before he completed his next status report to High Command. Another easy victory to add to his record. But something nagged at the back of his mind. The intelligence reports had mentioned strange energy readings from the outer reaches of the human system. Deep space installations that served no obvious purpose. Asteroid mining operations that seemed too large for the humans' primitive space program. The Admiral dismissed these concerns. Faster-than-light species often had inefficient space operations. They lacked the biotechnology to make their efforts truly productive. Whatever the humans were doing in their asteroid belt, it would not matter once the Devourer began its work. Through his neural link, Zexthul felt the bioship's excitement as it prepared for conquest. The Devourer's living weapons were charging with bioelectrical energy. Its spawning chambers were ready to birth death. Soon, another primitive civilization would join the long list of the hegemony's victories. The Admiral settled back into his command throne, which molded itself to his body like living skin. The throne's bio-neural fibers connected to his nervous system, letting him feel everything the ship felt. Through this connection, he sensed the Devourer's approach to the human home world. Everything was proceeding according to plan. In a few short-time units, he would receive the Devourer's victory signal, then his fleet could move on to more interesting conquests. Perhaps the next system would offer some new technology or biological adaptation worth incorporating into the hegemony. The humans, with their chemical rockets and primitive weapons, would become just another footnote in the hegemony's endless expansion across the galaxy. Another species that had thought itself special until reality came calling with bioorganic teeth and claws. Admiral Zexthul closed his primary eyes and let the ship's biorhythms lull him into a meditative state. Soon, very soon, another world would fall to the hegemony's hunger. And after that, another and another, until every star in the galaxy knew the touch of Velcaron dominance. The universe was vast, but the hegemony was patient. They had time. They had numbers. They had biotechnology that could adapt to any challenge. What they did not have was any reason to suspect that the humans might be different from every other species they had encountered. That thought never crossed the Admiral's mind as he waited for news of another easy victory. The Devourer moved through space like a living nightmare. Its bio-hull stretched nearly 2 kilometers from nose to tail, covered in weapon pods that twitched like sleeping animals. Inside its spawning chambers, thousands of hunter-killer organisms waited to be born. Captain Yexdai felt the ship's hunger through his neural connection. Soon, they would feed. The third planet of this system grew larger as they approached. Blue and white and green, covered in the primitive cities of the local species. The humans had built their settlements right out in the open, with no bioarmor or defensive growths. They would be easy prey. "Captain," reported the ship's biocomputer, through organic speakers grown into the bridge walls. "Detecting radio transmissions from the target world. The humans appear to be aware of our approach." Yexdai's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Of course they know we are coming. Let them see death approaching. Fear makes the conquest sweeter." But something was wrong. The Devourer's biosensors were picking up unexpected readings from the outer system. There were structures in the asteroid belt that had not been in the original survey data. Mining operations, but far too large for such a primitive species. "Analysis of outer system installations," Yexdai ordered. "Processing. Captain, the installations appear to be dormant. No energy signatures, no movement. They appear abandoned." Yexdai felt relief flow through his bioarmor. Probably failed colonization attempts. Faster-than-light species often overextended themselves, trying to establish space habitats. The humans had clearly tried to expand beyond their capabilities and abandoned the effort. The Devourer continued its approach to the human homeworld. Soon they would be close enough to begin spawning hunter-killers. The bioship's weapon systems were charging, drawing power from the nuclear furnace grown into its core. Then, the impossible happened. A new contact appeared on the biosensors, a single ship, emerging from behind one of the larger asteroids. It was moving to intercept the Devourer's path. "Captain," the biocomputer reported. "Single vessel approaching. Design unknown. Not matching any known human technology patterns." Yexdai studied the readings with growing confusion. The ship was wrong in every way. Its hull was angular, made of dead metal instead of living tissue. No bioluminescent patterns, no organic curves. It looked like something built by machines, harsh and geometric. "Size analysis," he commanded. "Vessel length approximately 800 meters. Mass readings uncertain. Hull appears to be layered composite materials. No organic components detected. 800 meters. The ship was less than half the size of the Devourer. Yexdai felt his confusion turn to amusement. Were the humans really sending one tiny ship to face a hegemony seed ship? The strange vessel moved closer, and the Devourer's biosensors registered something that made Yexdai's bioarmor ripple with surprise. The ship was broadcasting a message on standard hegemony frequencies. Turn back. That was all. 2 words in perfect hegemony standard language. No threats, no demands for negotiation, just a simple command. Response? Asked the biocomputer. Yexdai's laughter was a harsh clicking sound. Begin spawning sequence. Launch hunter-killer swarm. Standard suppression pattern. The Devourers. Spawning chambers opened like flowering buds. Dozens of hunter-killer organisms spilled out into space, each one a living weapon designed for a single purpose. Destroy the enemy. They were beautiful in their terrible simplicity, sleek biomechanical forms armed with plasma projectors and razor-sharp claws. The hunter-killers moved toward the human ship in a coordinated swarm. Each one was linked to the others through bioneural networks. They would overwhelm the target with sheer numbers, as they had done against every other enemy the hegemony had faced. But the human ship did not behave like prey. Instead of running or trying to fight defensively, it accelerated directly toward the swarm. Its angular hull began to change, weapon ports opening along its sides. The ship moved with a precision that seemed impossible for dead technology. The first hunter-killer fired its bioplasma weapon at close range. The shot should have disabled the human ship's propulsion systems, leaving it helpless. Instead, the ship twisted away from the plasma bolt with a movement so sharp and sudden that Yexdai felt his bioarmor go cold. Then, the human ship fired back. The weapon was like nothing in the hegemony's vast databases. Not bioplasma or energy beams, but solid projectiles moving at incredible speed. The first hunter-killer simply disappeared, turned into a cloud of superheated vapor by the impact. What was that? Yexdai demanded. Analysis in progress. Captain, the humans appear to be using kinetic projectiles accelerated to near-light velocity. Impact force equivalent to... The biocomputer's voice cut off as the human ship destroyed 3 more hunter-killers in rapid succession. Each shot was perfectly placed. Each hit was instantly fatal. The ship moved through the swarm like it was dancing, its angular hull spinning and twisting to avoid return fire while its weapons picked off targets with mathematical precision. Yexdai watched in growing horror as his hunter-killer swarm was systematically destroyed. The bioorganisms tried to adapt, changing their attack patterns, coordinating their movements. But the human ship seemed to predict every move before it happened. Launch additional swarms, he ordered. All spawning chambers, everything we have. The Devourer's hull split open in dozens of places. More hunter-killers poured out, filling space with living weapons. Surely the human ship could not face such numbers. The hegemony had never met an enemy that could stand against a full spawning, but the human ship continued its deadly dance. Its weapons fired with mechanical precision, each shot destroying another hunter-killer. Worse, the ship's tactics were adapting faster than the bioorganisms could evolve countermeasures. Through his neural link, Yexdai felt the Devourer's confusion and growing fear. The bio-ship's living computers could not process what they were seeing. This should not be possible. No single ship could face a full hunter-killer spawning and survive. Yet the human vessel was not just surviving, it was winning. Captain, the biocomputer reported. 70% of spawned hunter-killers destroyed. Remaining units requesting new tactical parameters. Yexdai stared at the tactical display in disbelief. One ship, one tiny metal ship, was destroying the pride of hegemony biotechnology. The hunter-killers that had crushed the defenses of 47 worlds were being picked apart like training targets. Signal Admiral Zexthul, he ordered, his voice tight with humiliation and fear. Request immediate reinforcement. The prey... He paused, watching as the human ship destroyed the last of his hunter-killers with a perfectly calculated shot. The prey is not behaving as expected. The human ship settled into a defensive position between the Devourer and the inner system. Its message repeated on all frequencies, calm and unchanging. Turn back. For the first time in his career, Captain Yexdai considered obeying. Admiral Zexthul felt the distress signal from the Devourer through his neural link like a physical blow. The bioship's panic flowed through the organic communication network, bringing images of destroyed hunter-killers and an impossible human vessel that moved like death itself. Show me, he commanded. The main fleet's biocomputers connected to the Devourer's sensors, sharing the view of battle. What Zexthul saw made his 4 arms tremble. The single human ship hung in space like a metal predator, its angular hull unmarked despite facing a full hunter-killer spawning. Around it drifted the remains of hundreds of bioorganisms, their organic hulls torn apart by weapons that struck with surgical precision. How is this possible? Sub-Commander Kelmix whispered through the biolink. Zexthul had no answer. In 300 cycles of conquest, he had never seen anything like this. The hegemony's biotechnology was supposed to be superior to any artificial construct. Living ships could adapt, evolve, learn from each encounter. Dead metal could not change. Yet, this human ship fought like it knew every move the hunter-killers would make before they made it. "Deploy the Renders," Zexthul ordered. "Full biomechanical assault formation." The Renders were the hegemony's elite shock troops, bioships designed specifically for ship-to-ship combat. Each one was a work of living art, their hulls shaped like massive predators with weapon arms that could tear through any known armor. 3 Renders launched from the main fleet, their bioengines leaving trails of organic matter as they accelerated toward the battle. Through the shared sensor link, Zexthul watched the Renders approach the human ship. These were not simple hunter-killers. Each Render had the biocomputing power of a small fleet, their living weapons capable of adapting to any defense in real time. The human ship detected their approach, but did not flee. Instead, it turned to face them directly, as if welcoming the challenge. "Foolish," Kelmix muttered. "They cannot hope to face 3 Renders." The first Render opened fire with its bioplasma cannons, weapons that could melt through a kilometer of hardened crystal. The human ship moved aside, but this time, its evasion was different. Instead of the sharp, angular movements it had used against the hunter-killers, it flowed through space like liquid metal. The second Render fired a spread of living projectiles, biomechanical missiles that would burrow into the target's hull and eat it from inside. The human ship's defensive systems came online, filling space with precisely targeted bursts of energy that destroyed every missile before it could reach its target. Then the human ship returned fire, but its weapons had changed. Instead of the kinetic projectiles it had used against the hunter-killers, it fired beams of pure energy that cut through the first Render's bioarmor like it was made of soft tissue. The Render's death scream echoed through the bio-network as its living hull was carved into pieces. "Impossible," Zexthul breathed. "The ship is adapting its weapons. This should not be happening." Artificial technology was supposed to be rigid, unchanging. Only biotechnology could evolve during combat. Yet the human ship was somehow modifying its entire weapons system in the middle of battle. The remaining 2 Renders tried a coordinated assault, attacking from opposite directions while launching clouds of biospores designed to eat through metal hulls. The human ship spun on its axis, its weapons firing in all directions simultaneously. Both Renders died within seconds, their bio-neural networks overloaded by perfectly placed energy strikes. "Admiral," came Captain Yexdai's voice from the Devourer, tight with fear. "The human vessel is hailing us. Put it through." The voice that came through the biocommunication system was unlike anything Zexthul had ever heard. It was artificial, clearly generated by a machine, but it spoke perfect hegemony language with an understanding that suggested deep knowledge of their culture. "Velkaran forces," the voice said, calm and emotionless. "You are in violation of human space. Your bioships have been scanned and analyzed. Your tactical capabilities have been assessed. You will withdraw immediately or face destruction." Zexthul's mandibles clicked in outrage. "You dare threaten the hegemony? We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your primitive species has barely left its birth system." "Correction," the artificial voice replied. "You have conquered 1,000 worlds using predictable biomechanical tactics against species unprepared for your specific form of warfare. Analysis of your combat patterns shows 17 distinct strategic approaches, all based on bioadaptation principles. These tactics are effective against organic opponents, but demonstrate significant vulnerabilities when facing mathematically optimized responses." The Admiral felt his bioarmor go cold. The human was speaking as if they had been studying hegemony tactics for centuries, but that was impossible. The hegemony had never encountered this species before. "You know nothing of our capabilities," Zexthul snarled. "Incorrect. Deep space monitoring stations have tracked your expansion for the past 47 years. Every battle has been recorded and analyzed. Your bioships follow evolutionary patterns that can be mathematically predicted. Adaptation requires time. Mathematics does not." Through the sensor link, Zexthul watched as more contacts appeared on the tactical display. Human ships were emerging from concealment throughout the asteroid belt. Not just one vessel, but dozens. Each one was different in design, specialized for specific tactical roles, yet they moved with perfect coordination. "Admiral," Kelmix reported, voice shaking, "long-range sensors detect massive installations throughout the outer system. They were hidden from our initial scans by some form of stealth technology." Zexthul stared at the tactical display in growing horror. The humans had not been caught by surprise. They had been waiting. The entire outer system was one vast fortress, and they had walked directly into it. "How long?" he whispered. "Uncertain, Admiral. The installations appear to have been under construction for decades, possibly since the humans achieved spaceflight." The implications hit Zexthul like a physical blow. While the hegemony had been conquering other worlds, convinced of their superiority, this primitive species had been preparing for war. They had studied hegemony tactics, built weapons specifically designed to counter bioship advantages, and turned their entire star system into a trap. "Admiral?" Captain Yexdai's voice came through the bio-link. "More human ships are approaching. The Devourer's biocomputers cannot process their tactical coordination. They fight like they share a single mind, but artificial instead of organic." Zexthul understood now. The hegemony's greatest strength had always been their ability to adapt during combat. Their bioships could evolve new strategies in real time, learning from each encounter. But adaptation took time, even for biotechnology. The humans fought with pure mathematics, every shot calculated, every maneuver optimized. They did not need to adapt, because they had already solved the equation of war against biomechanical opponents. "Signal the main fleet," Zexthul ordered, his voice heavy with the weight of impending defeat. "All ships converge on this position. Maximum bio-enhancement protocols. Admiral, that will leave the other conquest targets undefended." "Do it!" Zexthul roared. "This is no longer a simple conquest. We face an enemy that has been preparing specifically for us. Signal High Command. Request immediate reinforcement. Tell them." He paused, watching as human ships began to surround his forces with mathematical precision. "Tell them the prey has become the predator." High Command's response came through the bio-network with the force of a storm. Admiral Zexthul felt the mental pressure of the hegemony's highest leaders pressing against his consciousness through the organic communication system. "Explain," came the voice of Supreme Bio-Architect Morgeth, ancient and terrible. "How does a single primitive ship threaten a hegemony conquest fleet?" Through the shared neural link, Zexthul transmitted everything. The impossible evasion patterns, the weapons that adapted in real time, the human ship that fought like it knew every biotactical manual ever written, the hidden installations throughout the outer system. The silence that followed lasted for several long moments. When Morgeth spoke again, his mental voice carried new weight. "Deploy Battle Fleet Omega. All available seed ships. If these humans wish to test the full might of the hegemony, they shall have their opportunity." Zexthul felt a mixture of relief and dread. Battlefleet Omega represented the military power of dozens of conquered worlds, hundreds of bioships, each one a masterwork of living technology. Surely even these strange humans could not stand against such force. But as he waited for reinforcements, the situation in the Sol system continued to deteriorate. More human ships appeared with each passing time unit. They emerged from the asteroid belt like metallic wasps, leaving a disturbed nest. Each vessel was unique, specialized for specific combat roles. Some were long and sleek, built for speed and precision strikes. Others were massive and angular, their hulls bristling with weapon systems. A few were strange geometric shapes that defied any logical design principle. Yet they all shared certain characteristics. Every ship was artificial, built from dead metal and synthetic materials. Every ship moved with mathematical precision, and every ship carried weapons specifically designed to counter bioship advantages. Captain Yexadai's reports from the Devourer grew increasingly desperate. The human ships were not just surrounding the hegemony forces, they were studying them. Long-range scanners detected directed energy beams playing across bioship hulls, analyzing their structure, learning their weaknesses. "They are mapping our bio-neural networks," Yexdai reported. "Every scan reveals more about our internal systems. Admiral, they know things about our ships that we do not know ourselves." This was the most disturbing development yet. Bioships were grown, not built. Their internal structure was organic, complex, difficult to understand even for their own crews. Yet the humans seemed to comprehend hegemony biotechnology better than the hegemony itself. "How is this possible?" Sub-Commander Kelmix asked for the 100th time. The answer came from an unexpected source. One of the human ships opened a communication channel, and a different voice spoke through the bio-network. This one was clearly organic, unmistakably human. "Admiral Zexthul of the Velkaran Hegemony," the voice said in perfect hegemony language. "I am Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Navy. I believe we need to talk." "Humans do not negotiate," Zexthul replied. "Surrender or face destruction." The human's laughter was a sound unlike anything in the bio-network's memory. "Admiral, You seem to be confused about your tactical situation. You are currently surrounded by 47 human warships, each one specifically designed to counter your biotechnology. Your reinforcements are still 6 hours away, and you are sitting in the middle of what we call the asteroid defense grid. As, if triggered by her words, the asteroids around the hegemony fleet began to move. What Zexathul had assumed were simple mining operations revealed themselves as something far more sophisticated. The largest asteroids split open like mechanical flowers, revealing weapon systems that dwarfed anything on the bioships. You see, Admiral, Fleet Admiral Chen continued, we have been preparing for this encounter since we first detected your expansion pattern 47 years ago. We studied every battle, analyzed every tactic, learned everything there was to know about hegemony biowarfare. Impossible, Zexthul snarled. Your species lacks faster-than-light capability. You could not have observed our conquests. Correct. We cannot travel faster than light, but we can listen faster than light. Do you know what radio waves are, Admiral? Electromagnetic radiation that travels at light speed? Every battle you have fought has been broadcasting its details across the galaxy for anyone with the right equipment to intercept. The implications hit Zexthul like a neural shock. Every time the hegemony had used their biocommunication systems, every tactical discussion, every strategic report had been traveling through space at light speed, and the humans had been listening. For nearly 50 years, Chen continued, we have been receiving your military communications. We know your tactical doctrines. We understand your bioship capabilities. We have designed our entire defense strategy around countering your specific advantages. Around the hegemony fleet, human ships began to move in complex patterns. Their formations were unlike anything in Zexthul's experience, not the flowing, organic movements of bioships, but rigid geometric arrays that somehow felt more threatening than any living predator. You want to know why your bioships cannot adapt to our tactics? Chen asked. It is because we do not use tactics. We use mathematics. Every shot is calculated. Every maneuver is optimized. We do not fight like living beings who must learn and adapt. We fight like the universe itself, bound by physical laws that cannot be changed or evolved away from. To demonstrate her point, the human ships opened fire simultaneously, not at the hegemony vessels, but at empty space around them. The weapons fire created a perfect geometric pattern, a three-dimensional web of energy that surrounded the bioships without touching them. This is what precision looks like, Admiral. Every shot placed exactly where we intended. No waste, no error, no adaptation required because the mathematics never change. Zexthul stared at the energy web in growing horror. The humans had just demonstrated that they could destroy his entire fleet whenever they chose. They were toying with him, showing off their capabilities like a predator playing with wounded prey. What do you want? He asked, the words tasting bitter in his mouth. We want you to understand something, Chen replied. The hegemony has been successful because you have fought against species that were not prepared for your specific form of warfare. You have never faced an enemy that spent 50 years studying your every move, designing weapons specifically to counter your advantages, and preparing their entire civilization for war against you. The energy web tightened around the hegemony, ships moving closer without actually striking. The precision was perfect, each beam stopping exactly 1 meter from the bioship hulls. You have been apex predators in a galaxy full of prey, Chen continued, but every predator eventually meets something that does not run, something that has been watching, learning, preparing. Today, Admiral Zexthul, you have met your hunters. Through the bio network, Zexthul felt his crew's growing panic. For the first time in hegemony history, their bioships were not the most dangerous things in space. They had become the hunted instead of the hunters, and Battlefleet Omega was still 5 hours away. Battlefleet Omega arrived like a storm of living darkness. 300 bioships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system, their hulls gleaming with bioluminescent war patterns. Each vessel was a masterwork of organic engineering, grown in the deepest biofoundries of a dozen conquered worlds. Together they represented the accumulated military might of the entire Velkaran hegemony. Supreme Bioarchitect Morgeth commanded the fleet from his flagship, the World Eater, a massive bioship that had personally devoured 17 planets. Through the organic communication network, his ancient mind touched every vessel in the fleet, coordinating their movements with the precision of a single vast organism. So, Morgeth's mental voice echoed through the bio network. These are the humans who dare challenge hegemony dominance. Through shared sensors, he studied the tactical situation. Admiral Zexthul's remaining ships hung in space near the human home world, surrounded by geometric patterns of enemy vessels. The asteroid belt had revealed itself as a massive fortress, bristling with weapon systems that defied understanding. But numbers were numbers. 300 bioships against less than 50 human vessels. The mathematics seemed simple enough. "Begin deployment," Morgeth commanded. "Standard overwhelming force doctrine. Show these primitives what happens when they resist the natural order." Battlefleet Omega spread across the outer system like a plague of metallic locusts. Each bioship began spawning hunter-killers, filling space with thousands of living weapons. The hegemony's standard tactic was simple: create so many targets that the enemy could not possibly destroy them all. But as the bioships moved deeper into the system, they encountered something unprecedented. The humans were ready for them. The asteroid belt erupted with weapons fire. But these were not the simple kinetic projectiles or energy beams the hegemony expected. Instead, streams of exotic particles tore through space, weapons that seemed to violate basic physics. Bioship hulls that could withstand planet-cracking forces simply ceased to exist where the particle beams touched them. "What are those weapons?" Morgeth demanded. The fleet's biocomputers worked frantically to analyze the energy signatures. "Unknown technology, Supreme Bioarchitect. The weapons appear to be manipulating matter at the quantum level. Our bio-armor provides no protection." Morgeth felt the first stirring of something he had not experienced in centuries: doubt. The hegemony had faced energy weapons before, but these were different. They did not simply damage bioship hulls. They erased them from existence. Worse, the human ships were moving with impossible coordination. Instead of fighting as individual vessels, they functioned like a single vast machine. Their formations flowed through space in patterns that seemed random but achieved devastating results. "Deploy the Titan-class vessels," Morgeth ordered. "Full bio-enhancement protocols. 5 massive bioships separated from the main fleet. Each Titan was the size of a small moon, their hulls thick with armor grown from crystallized star matter. They were planet killers designed to crack worlds and devour their remains. Surely no human weapon could threaten such massive constructs. The Titans moved toward the inner system, their bioengines carving through space. Around them, clouds of hunter-killers swarmed like antibodies protecting a living organism. It was a formation that had never failed, overwhelming force that could crush any resistance. But the humans did not meet them with force. Instead, they disappeared. One moment, the human fleet was spread throughout the asteroid belt in defensive positions. The next, they were gone, vanished as if they had never existed. The Titans found themselves firing at empty space while their biosensors registered. "No targets." "Where did they go?" Morgeth snarled. The answer came from behind the hegemony fleet. The human ships reappeared in perfect formation, having somehow moved through space without being detected. But they were not the same vessels that had vanished. Each ship had reconfigured itself, their hulls reshaping into new forms optimized for different tactical roles. "Impossible," Morgeth breathed. "Artificial technology cannot reshape itself." But the evidence was before his eyes. The human ships were transforming in real time, their metal hulls flowing like liquid to create new weapon systems, new defensive configurations, new engines. They were adapting faster than biotechnology, reshaping themselves not through evolution, but through pure engineering. The human counterattack began with mathematical precision. Instead of targeting the massive Titans, the human ships struck at the biofleet's communication nodes, the organic systems that linked each vessel to the network. Within moments, Morgeth found his connection to half the fleet severed. "They are targeting our bio-neural networks," reported the World Eater's biocomputer. "They know exactly which systems to hit to maximize disruption." This was the hegemony's greatest fear realized. Their bioships were strongest when working together, sharing information and tactics through organic networks. But those same networks were vulnerabilities if an enemy knew how to exploit them. The human ships moved through the biofleet like surgical instruments, each strike precisely calculated to cause maximum damage to coordination and communication. They were not trying to destroy every bioship. They were crippling the fleet's ability to function as a unified force. "All vessels, independent action protocols," Morgeth commanded through what remained of the bio-network. "If they want to face each ship individually, so be it." But even as individual vessels, the bioships found themselves outmatched. The humans had prepared counters for every hegemony tactic. Bioplasma weapons were deflected by energy shields that seemed to bend space itself. Hunter-killer swarms were destroyed by defensive systems that fired thousands of precise shots simultaneously. Living armor was penetrated by weapons that targeted the molecular bonds holding organic matter together. Through his neural link, Morgeth felt his fleet dying. Not the quick death of battle, but the slow strangulation of an organism being methodically dissected by a superior predator. The humans fought with an efficiency that was terrifying in its perfection. "Supreme Bioarchitect," came a transmission. From one of the surviving Titans, "Request permission to begin planetary bombardment. If we cannot defeat their fleet, we can destroy their home world." Morgoth considered the option. The hegemony had done it before when faced with stubborn resistance. Crack the planet, exterminate the species, move on to easier targets. It was not elegant, but it was effective. "Granted," he replied. "Target the third planet. Full bioweapons deployment." The surviving Titans turned toward Earth, their massive hulls bristling with planet-killing weapons. Biomechanical viruses that could consume entire ecosystems, kinetic projectiles that could shatter continents, living bombs that would burrow into the planet's core and tear it apart from within. But as they prepared to fire, something new appeared on the tactical display. A single human ship, larger than any they had seen before, emerging from behind, the blue and white world. It was massive, easily the size of the largest Titan, but its design was unlike anything in space. The ship looked like a perfect geometric crystal, its faceted hull reflecting starlight in patterns that hurt to look at. Along its surface, weapon ports opened like the eyes of some vast mechanical god. "What is that?" Morgoth whispered. The answer came in Fleet Admiral Chen's voice, broadcast on all frequencies. "That, Supreme Bioarchitect, is the UES Indomitable, our flagship, and the ship that will teach you the most important lesson in hegemony history." The Indomitable fired once. The beam that emerged from its main weapon was not energy or matter, but something that existed at the intersection of both. It struck the lead Titan and simply erased it from existence, leaving behind only empty space, where a planet killer had been. "The lesson," Chen continued, "is this. Evolution is powerful, but mathematics is eternal. Adaptation can overcome many challenges, but it cannot overcome the fundamental laws of physics. You have ruled this galaxy by being the strongest, fastest, most adaptive force in space. But strength has limits, speed has limits, even adaptation has limits." The Indomitable fired again, and another Titan ceased to exist. Mathematics has no limits. Morgoth stared at the tactical display as his fleet fell apart around him. Centuries of conquest, thousands of years of hegemony dominance, and it was ending here, in this unremarkable system, at the hands of a species that had barely learned to leave their home world. "Signal retreat," he commanded, his mental voice heavy with defeat. "All remaining vessels immediate withdrawal, emergency faster than light jump to Rally Point Alpha. Supreme Bioarchitect," Chen's voice followed them as they prepared to flee. "Carry this message back to your high command. Humanity claims no territory beyond this system. We seek no empire, but this is our home, and we will defend it with everything we have learned, everything we have built, and everything we are capable of becoming." As the surviving bioships fled the Sol system, Morgoth understood that everything had changed. The hegemony had finally met a species that did not fight with claws and bioplasma, but with slide rules and physics textbooks. A species that had turned mathematics into a weapon more terrible than any living thing. For the first time in galactic history, the hunters had become the hunted, and across the galaxy, word would spread that there was a place where the hegemony